afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lively, vibrant video, which is a promotional video of the 60th anniversary of the Japan Racing Association. And we celebrate our important milestone this year. 60 years means a lot to us Japanese, because our traditional age counting method based on some zodiac and lunar solar calendar which circulate once in 60 years. And it means to start over a new life. Traditionally, we celebrate our 60th old birthday by wearing a red robe, which usually worn by a newborn baby. And for us, it is time to remind us of our basic concept, which is customers have priorities. A concept of the JRA 60th anniversary is thank customers for their support for the last 60 years, and without their support, we have not come so far. Then our next challenge is quite clear, which is how we should start our new life after the 60th anniversary. So my presentation today is along this perspective. First, let me describe our social situation. As you can see, our current spending population of 74.3 million, which is shown with the weak green square, will shift to the area between red lines. And our spending population in 2020 will just a little over 70 million, 4.2 million fewer, decreasing nearly 1% every year until 2020. This is because the Generation X, which is shown on the left side of the chart, will be out of the market, and same population of Denmark will disappear in 6 years' time. Now, let me break down a turnover in order to get to know how we position ourselves in this rapidly growing society. The turnover can be shown in this simple formula. The number of customers by annual per capita spending, and per capita spending can be broken down into the amount spent per day by the number of participation per year, which means frequency. Here is another chart which shows a correlation between our turnover and the number of spending population plus our average household income. The vertical line shows our turnover, and the horizontal line shows the index combined household income plus spending population. As you can see, the relation between two indices is quite clear. R2 is nearly 1, which means two indices are very closely related. When this hypothesis is working, we could focus on issues we have to tackle. As you understand, the number of customers will be affected by both the number of spending population and how much share the racing holds in the leisure market. And unfortunately, the size of the leisure industry is getting smaller. And also, the annual per capita spending will be affected by the household income. We cannot control the number of spending population as well as the average household income. Then, what do you think we can manage? There will be two things left. One is to increase the number of our customers, even though our population is getting smaller. And the other is to increase the frequency individual participation, which surely would lead to more spending on racing within a limited household income. Increasing the amount of spending per day is not easy unless we introduce clear incentives, like a rebate system to our customers, which of course would be one of the options. But here today, I would like to focus on the number of customers as well as how to increase the frequency of customers' participation. The first, our target clusters. Apart from our existing customers, we could focus on some particular customer clusters. For example, single ladies. According to our demographical statistics issued by the Japanese government, the number of single households will be increasing to a third of the total number of households. If I ask you to imagine a family, you probably could think of a family with a couple plus a child or children automatically. But this stereotypical family would represent merely a quarter of the total household by 2020. One of the reasons behind the scene was the Japanese get married later or stay single. This chart shows the trend of female staying single in their upper 20s and 30s. As you can see, the Japanese female stays single longer than before. For example, 20% of the female of late 20s in 1975 stayed single, compared with the current 60%. I'm afraid this is not going to be a politically correct expression, but until a couple of decades ago, the ladies were compared to a Christmas cake. If they are left on the shelf until 25, they cannot be bought. Of course, this trend has long gone and cannot be applied nowadays at all. And the next chart shows the percentage of never married until 50 years old by gender, and this also backs up the trend increasing single households. Taking this social situation into consideration, I would like to talk a little about our relatively new initiative started in 2012, UMAJO Project, which literally means host ladies, focusing on young single female customers. This project team consists of around 20 young female workers of the JLA, and they take care of the planning, financing, as well as implementation of this initiative. Look at those cute girls. I need to tell what. They are really not only very nice and hardworking, but a little bit photogenic. Their first goal was to organize resting place and relaxing places for female customers at the Tokyo Racecourse, which is our flagship racecourse. Fortunately, our initiatives were well accepted, and we decided to organize it in a bigger manner on the Japanese Oaks Day this year. Our average female attendance at the racecourse is a little more than 14%, and we need to increase this ratio. Our goal on the Japanese Oaks Day this year is to attract 15,000 female customers, and it will be more than 20% of the total expected number of attendance. Historically, in Japan, main trend setter in our society has been young female, and of course, boys would follow them, which is a universal phenomenon. On top of attracting young female generation to racing, we also focus more on our attractive contents by making 2 pinnacles and focusing our resources on them. There could be a way to raise minor contents to a certain standard, but it could simply lead us to a situation where there is no non-attractive content, which I'm afraid boring, or at least I couldn't say not attractive enough. This kind of policy would make us scatter our precious resources. So we have decided to repackage our most attractive contents, which are the Japan Derby and the Arima Kinen, the Grand Prix, and bombarded the general public with a massive exposure of those contents. As a result, number of attendance and the turnover increased dramatically. Our approach surely attracted new customers, especially younger generations. And that was exactly what we wanted. According to our survey, the horse racing is merely taken as a gamble, and our younger generations are hardly attracted to it. They want to live a simple life and try to find their mental happiness rather than material prosperity. It is quite understandable because they have been living in an economically downward trend for the last 20 years and also experienced the extremely catastrophe in March 2011, which made them focus more on mental satisfaction rather than material prosperity. At least their mindset has changed. Then the question is how we could attract those guys to horse racing. Apart from those concrete actions like attracting young female or repackaging a product, one of the most important perspectives is to redefine ourselves or slightly change our business domain along with customers' interest. For example, from gamble, of which we are currently perceived, to possibly a sport entertainment, gaming, or even new culture. A sure thing we know is there would be a limit as long as we stick to our current business domain. Our goal would be simply to provide our customers with attractive content, or I could say added values. I would like to stress it again that it could not be a turnover or the number of participants, but how we could provide our customers with added values that counts. Now I'd like to talk a little about our regulations and restrictions. When we hear a word like regulation or restriction, we may tend to think of it as something bad or something should be lifted. But when it comes to a horse racing business, we surely need certain rules or regulations. A part of a horse racing business includes wagering, and that is the very reason why we need regulations. If its playing field is open to anybody, it would become not easy to uphold integrity of horse racing. And once we lost our trust from customers, our business cannot be sustained and ruined. In this sense, we need to keep a good relationship with the government in order to do business in the right manner. In principle, all forms of gambling activities are illegal in Japan, and because of this, business activities are clearly regulated, basically with 4 categories. So organizing race meetings, registration of owners, horses, and racing cars, licensing trainers and jockeys, necessary activities for sound development of horse racing. As you can see, the category 4 looks very versatile, but in practice, we need to consult with the government, especially when it comes to new business activities. With this in mind, I would like to talk about an activity we want, but a thing which is not easy to implement. That is organizing wagering on foreign races. We know that there is a strong demand from our customers about selling foreign races where Japanese horses are running, and especially when it's come to the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, its demand gets bigger and stronger every year. In order to respond to the enthusiasm from our customers, we regularly organize public viewing at some facilities on the day of the Arc de Triomphe, and there are hundreds of enthusiastic customers gathered in the middle of the night, rooting for Japanese runners, and they know they will surely miss the last public transportation after the race. You may recognize the disappointing faces of our customers. This photo was taken just after the race, and our hope or Feibu was beaten by 5 lengths, became a runner-up again 2 years in a row. The concept of our law is as such. Organized wagering on foreign races will be taken as introducing another new type of betting. Thus, we should have a new framework of law to make it happen, as there's a strong backing from our customers, and if it can give our customers an added value, we need to keep negotiating with the government on this issue. On the other hand, the regulation is happening step by step. A new law allowed us to make the percentage of winning allocation more flexible, and we will change them from 7th of June this year. Here's a table of our payback rates on each betting type, and as you can see, we changed the rate according to the difficulty of betting types. Our aim is to provide our customers with more dividends and let them recognize enjoyment of horse racing. Here, we'll be able to reflect our policy on payback rates for the first time in our history. In fact, we are, of course, under some regulations and restrictions, and I mentioned we need certain regulations and in order for the industry to prosper in a sound manner. And at the same time, we will have to negotiate with the government about easing or lifting those restrictions, as long as it would lead us to more customer-friendly business environment and give us more opportunities, provide our customers with added values. In closing, I would like to stress that Japan is one of the most growing, developed countries in the world. But we will have to become a role model for other countries on how to sustain the status of horse racing in this severe business environment. And I would like you to give us a close look from this perspective. We know we'll have to struggle, but also have to straddle. Thank you.